Am I live? Hi, hey. What's up, everybody? How are you? Welcome to Contours and Conversations, or Contours and Convos. I'm Taibeau, your host of Contours and Conversations. I am so happy to see all of you, and super excited to be here as we celebrate Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month. And I am thrilled because I get to catch up with a friend of mine who I've known for many years, and actually remember her winning season 14, I believe it was, of Project Runway, and met her many years ago. A dynamic young woman. The sound's off. Is the sound off? Can you all hear me? Okay. Well, I'm just checking. Let's go. Okay, perfect. Giselle, can you hear me? All right, because I'm getting sounds off. I don't want sound to be off. I want sound to be on. No sound. Okay, let's see. No sound, no sound. Let's see what's happening. You can hear? Okay. You love my lashes. Thank you. Do you love my makeup is the question. Okay, you can hear. Perfect. All right, so we're all here. I'm Taibeau, your host of Contours and Conversations. So excited to be here. So Revlon is so intentional about us having conversations beyond the makeup, in addition to the makeup, obviously. And perfect. Thank you so much, Taibeau. That's me. Shakura coming in as me. To have conversations that are super important, that really kind of like break down the walls and have us understand who we are, you know, behind the lashes, with the makeup. And I must tell you, I'm into this new palette. That's the Meg the Stallion palette. And I'm also wearing, because I know you're going to ask, I'm wearing my Sophia Carson lip color from Revlon as well. But I'm having a conversation today with the dynamic Ashley Nell Tipton. Let's see if she is here. She's not here yet. So as soon as she comes in, I'll bring her in. But let's talk a little bit about, isn't the lip so good? You know what I did? I put it on top of my nails. I put it on top of a little bit of a lip balm, so it is a matte color, but I wanted it a little bit more faint. Thank you, Bree. I receive it. I love Revlon too. So the purpose of these conversations is just to really have informative conversations to help us understand like the connection, you know, deeper conversations beyond the makeup. But oh, there you are, Ashley. I'm gonna bring you in then. Come on, sister. Come on, I'm gonna bring you in. But Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month here in the United States, it started out as a week in 1968 and became a full month in 1988. Beautiful.
Good morning or good
Wait,
afternoon.
let me see what you're serving. This face is everything, but you're always giving face. Just like that.
Thank you.
Just like that. I am so happy to see you. And when we had our brief conversation, so again, I just want to reset the space. You're tuned in to Contours and Conversations. This is our second episode. I'm your host, Taibeau, and we have the amazing fashion designer, entrepreneur, extraordinaire, culture shifter. I mean, you're all those things, Ashley, and it's just so incredible to watch as we celebrate Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month. And I was just sharing some facts that I was not aware of. That Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month began as a week in 1968. It became a full month from September 15th through October 15th in 1988. And the significance of September 15th is because it marks the anniversary of independence for several countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Chile also celebrate their Independence Days on the 16th and 18th. So I was being educated, which I love about this platform. So tell me, what is your most favorite thing? First of all, where are you from? Where is your family from, and what are your origins?
So I am born and raised in California, San Diego, and my mother is originally from Mexicali in Mexico. And my father is from here, from California. So my family, my ancestors, we are Native American, Indigenous. We are from northern Mexico. So no wonder we're still here in California, because this is all of us right here. This is our land. This is where we're from. Um, and I love being from California.
Well, you want to know what? It's interesting that you say that. I relocated from New York City to California just 4 years ago. And
Yeah,
I traveled to Mexico quite a bit and traveled to other parts of Latinx America and Latin America. But when I came to California, I was also educated about the history of America and how all of California was Mexico, ultimately.
exactly.
And so, climate wise, energy wise, you feel all of that vibe. As an entrepreneur and as a designer, tell me about what inspires you.
What inspires me is having that drive and that passion for something that you love and that you enjoy. Being able to just make something and be in this creative space and being able to share that space with other, that's what drives me and what inspires me. Because you can grab inspiration from anywhere. You can go to a museum, you can go to the beach, you can look on Instagram, you can pick up a magazine. But I think I've learned so much. It's about my environment and the people who I surround myself with, and the energy that I have, where the headspace that I'm in, that um has really taught me a whole nother way of like being creative and just finding that
Mm.
inspiration. Because you have to be your motivator. You have to motivate yourself at the end of the day. We can't um expect other people to be there all the time for us. We have to do it for ourselves.
And I must tell you that that's especially true, I feel, for, often marginalized communities and people, right? As
Yeah.
an Latinx woman and as a Black woman, I appreciate that because sometimes you have to draw on that inspiration from yourself because you might not be getting it from the outside sources. And I actually think that, quite frankly, sometimes that's a really amazing way to be, because that's when the canvas is blank, right? And so then
Yeah.
you can design it exactly, and to use that word intentionally, to design it in a way that makes sense for you. Um, and I mean, you've done that, because when you came onto Project Runway, as a forward, thinking, progressive, enthusiastic, designer, saying, I am designing for plus size women and,
Yeah.
women with curves and women who are often not seen in spaces. And so, what was that like for you? And tell us about the Project Runway experience. And then I want you to share a little bit about what inspired you to design to begin with.
Yeah, of course. Being on Project Runway is I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so many things put into one space. And being on reality TV and then doing something that you absolutely love. And I didn't
Mhm.
know what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I had so much drive and passion, and I was desperate. I was desperate and I was determined to find that next thing for myself, because I had already been a struggling artist working out of my parents' garage, and I was desperate for something next to happen, because I knew I had this drive. I knew I had this talent oozing out of me. And I was like, I have
Mhm.
to showcase it. I have to showcase it in some way. And I think that's what motivated me and what drove me to continue on Project Runway and not want to quit, because there were so many
I'm
times I
sure.
wanted to quit. And me telling you about having to be your own motivator and your own cheerleader, I found myself doing that to myself and learning like, this is uncomfortable. This is so weird. Why am I talking to myself in a mirror? But like, you have to look at yourself and just be like, you can do this. You can do this. Like, cry. It's okay. It's okay to show emotion. Um, but just being on that show just taught me so much about myself, about being a plus size woman, about being a Latina woman, um, just being all around. Like I felt like I was taken out of my normal life and put into something that I will never ever experience anywhere else but there.
And
But
I can only imagine, and I imagine it was kind of like, you know, like this, and I'm using all these puns not intentionally, but it's like bursting at the seams, like to kind of allow this new element of who you are to come forth. Like you said, you had to fully own that you were a plus size woman. You had to fully own that you were a Latina woman, and it's like seeing yourself differently. And it's so interesting because I did my makeup myself this morning, and you know, do we ever pause to really see ourselves in that way? And so
exactly.
to have those experiences where you're brought into, the space where you have to kind of show up as your full self. So yeah,
Exactly. It's like our armor. I mean, we're
yeah.
speaking candidly, and me being a Latina woman raised by a Latina woman as well, my mom has always taught me that you have to present yourself to your best, like first impressions are everything. So imagine being on TV and that type of pressure. I made sure my wardrobe, my hair, and my makeup was always
On
looking
point.
on point because that's all I had in my talent. And I was so insecure about myself.
Mhm.
I had no confidence, but I had to put on this shield like I did. And it took so much
Mhm.
work that I feel like if I could go back and change any of that, I could have had so much energy, more design, more space to design in my head than worrying about my appearance and how I looked and how people were going to accept me for being fat or being Latina. Those were the thoughts that were going in my head, and that's crazy. I've never said that anywhere else, but
No, of
just for
course.
you to be able to see what's going through my mind, being on TV and having to worry about all these other things and not being eliminated, but also I'm worried about my appearance and how I looked and
Yeah.
because I knew at that time for myself what other people think matter to me. And it took so much space, mental space in my head. And I was like, I have to get rid of this. I have to stop worrying about what other people think. But being on reality TV and being on Project Runway and putting myself out there has really taught me not to care anymore.
I, well, first, Ashley, thank you so much for sharing your transparency. And I felt that. And I saw actually one of my little sisters who I went to high school with, because I went to an all girls high school, who's Latina.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Jackie is from Dominican Republic, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, and she can share here. But I resonate with that as a Black woman who, was in the beauty space 22 years ago when there weren't many women of color. I mean, there were no Black women. There were very few. I'm remembering an editor, Patricia Reneso, just a few. And I know what that feels like when you have to encourage yourself to show up as your authentic self, but when you don't know if your authentic self is really welcome, right? When you don't
Yeah.
really know. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations. And so let me ask this, for all the Latina and Hispanic women here in this space right now, or anyone who has felt marginalized or other, I see people representing from India and everywhere. What would you have said to yourself during that time about owning your truth as a Latina and a plus size woman?
Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, and to love you.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. We talked a little bit about your grandma,
Yes.
um, and what lessons did she in your mom impart, to you about, being we talked about, like, how we show up, but like what lessons,
Yeah.
kind of like give me two or three that are really strong.
Okay, so this is interesting. So my grandmother who taught me how to sew, who I was very close to, was my grandmother from my father's side, who is American. So learning an American way of being a woman and X, Y, and Z is a different way than how I was raised by my mother and how to be a Latina woman. And being being brought up in those two worlds made me see how we are looked at differently,
Mm-hmm.
like American women compared to Latina women, and what they're expected to do and expected
Mm,
to be in life. And so I always knew growing up that I don't have to do this. Like, I can break the tradition, I can break the habits
mm,
and things like that. But I got to really take loving something and being passionate about something and being hardworking about it. I see my mom till today. She's 69. She still works and will never stop working. I almost feel like,
working, yeah.
yeah, and like I remember sending my mom on a 2 week cruise, and she calls me crying like, Mija, there's nothing for me to clean here, there's nothing for me to cook, there's nothing for me to do. And I was like, good mom, this is the
Don't do
time.
anything.
Don't do anything, this is the time for you to relax. She was like, no, I feel guilty, I feel like I should be doing something. And I was like, see, this is like the Latina woman in you. You always feel like you have to be doing something, but you don't, mom, because you work so hard. Enjoy this time. So I think being able to have the best of both worlds has taught me this balance of both worlds and wanting both of those things, and it's okay to have them.
And defining it on your own terms too, which I really love, but also like not divorcing yourself from what your legacy is, what your history is, which
Yeah,
is why it's so interesting to me. And I actually have a brother who is part Latina as well, my half brother. And
yeah,
so, I think the exposure and just these conversations about understanding and what you said about like how we work, like, and how you show up and how your mom is like she wants to create. And so I want to shift the conversation a little bit to, because the point of Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month is for us to be educated and for there to be awareness. And this is something that we shouldn't be just doing, you know, September 15th through October 15th. This is a year-round thing,
it
and we should be
is.
intentional about it. But one of the things that I love learning about are businesses that we can support. Obviously, supporting your business is one way. Are there, any other businesses that come to mind that you love that are created or founded by Hispanic or Latinx
Yes.
people?
Thank
Yes.
yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to shout out my favorite Latina and Latino brands out there. So Hija de tu Madre is an amazing and fun girl boss Latina brand that I have seen, and totally representing Latinas and being hard workers and being passionate. Obviously, there's the Millennial Loteria, which I have followed since the get-go. I absolutely love that there's a loteria for our generation to be able to share with our families. My tooth fairy, who does my amazing teeth gems, she's also a
I want one of
Latina.
those. I
I
oh my
love
oh,
mine. It's a little
just and does
hard
she? Oh, I love it. And do you have like? Are they different? How long do they stay on? I'm
for
like obsessed with those.
they can stay on for from 3 to 2 years, or 3 months to 2 years, depending how you take care of them. I've had mine for 6 months. I love them. I want more. They're super fun.
I love a bling.
Um,
I really want to do that. Okay,
you
so you
should,
have
and you
to.
have
I
a
have to make.
beautiful smile. So yes,
I need to look that one up.
so her name is Tooth Fairy.
Okay.
Holy Matcha is an amazing matcha cafe here in San Diego, also owned by a Latina entrepreneur. We have Belladonna, who is located in Los Angeles. They're an amazing Latina clothing brand that just emphasizes you as a Latina and our heritage and just being badass women. And then we have a Por Vida here in San Diego, who is an amazing coffee shop. And also me, A&T, your guest here on the
Yeah,
Revlon
like I
Live.
listen, Listen, just give us the initials, A&T here, and
A&T.
absolutely. And I must tell you, I just love to see also how your designs have evolved and how you have grown as a designer. But I also, I want to hear about, like, do you pick and pull from your culture in order to inspire? Like, are there any fun things that you're working on where you're like, this is totally inspired by, yeah.
I love being able to accentuate the curves and being able to just help women in general um, be able to be comfortable with their body and be able to like be comfortable asking for help.
Mm,
Um, because I think we lived in a culture where I can only speak for myself that sometimes these things were not talked about, the proper
yeah.
bra, the proper undergarments, or how to, it's okay to put your hair up or okay to put it down or don't wear too much makeup. Like some of these conversations were not talked about in my life or was only talked about one way. So I think being able to have these conversations with women and open their minds up to so much more because being Latina, sometimes we have this old thinking of ways. And so I always try to inspire women to just like pick color, pick prints, do this,
Mhm.
do that. Also, it's all about, the things that you wear underneath to support you and your
Mhm.
ladies and all your
Mm.
goodies
The
and
whole
everything.
thing, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And like, and not being scared of it, not being scared of
Yeah.
hiding those curves.
Yeah.
I always think about that movie, Why Women Have Curves. Am
Yeah.
I saying that? Yes, and like
Yeah. I think
how
that's
that
it.
was a
Yeah.
Latina, like women all in the factories, and they were just always told to hide their curves, their lonjas, and everything. And it reminds me of like when I'm trying a crop top, and my mom's like, your top is really short. Can you pull it down? I'm like, why? Like, this makes you
Celebrate,
uncomfortable?
own all of it. But
Yes,
I'm
own.
gonna tell you, that's what I mean. And growing up in New Jersey, I grew up outside of Newark, New Jersey. Jackie, my young SVA sister, like, and I grew up, close to, Brazilian people and, Portuguese people and, Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and, Haitian and just large communities. And I always have loved the confidence of Latina and Hispanic. I've loved that. And I think there's an ownership. And with that ownership, there's a gravitas. I I'm thinking about, amazing actresses that we know. I think about J Lo. I think about, there's an ownership in the, and I just love that. And I think to your point, it's like we don't want to divorce legacy or tradition, but still want to, show up as who we
Embrace.
embrace, like whatever that nuance is and what that flow is.
Embrace what we have and know that nothing is wrong with us and just loving ourselves. Like this is what we were given, and if there's anything that you want to change about yourself, know that you want that change because you want it and it's not for someone else, you know?
Come on now. That part. I'm like
Yes.
that part. Okay, so I see you, Lucia, saying I love Latin music. So do I. What are like your top, like if you, obviously we have a community here of
Yes.
people who may be, Latina or Hispanic or, and they're not the same. But like, what are some of the things that you love, your favorite traditions and the things that you're like really into? Give me your top 3 to 5. And for someone who perhaps, is like, well, how do I immerse myself? How do I learn more? I took salsa lessons. I was awful, but that's a different conversation.
I love it.
I'm not
Right?
going there, but tell us what it is for you.
Um, I love listening to Selena whenever I feel like I want
Mm.
to just go
Oh,
back in those times. Like whenever I feel a little bit down and I need some like music from my childhood, it's always like Earth, Wind and Fire and Selena. For some reason,
I
that was
love
what
that
was
combo.
playing. That's what was playing in my house. My mom is like the ultimate she's a disco girl. Like that's her time. And so and then also having Selena as like a child, that's what was being played at that time. So those are my two things. Or one of my things for music, being able to play lotaria with my family during the holidays. It's really the time where we get to like laugh and enjoy ourselves and kind of, excuse my language, shit talk to each other
Of
and
course,
like
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
no,
it
it's
brings
like,
us
but that's a part of it,
together.
right?
It is. It's a part of our culture and I love it. And if anyone's not familiar with loteria, it's like a Mexican bingo. We play for quarters. It's like it's a whole party for us.
I want to pay for dollars. I want to
Yeah,
pay
we
for
do. We
dollars.
do. We play for dollars, $5. The little kids get in, the grown-ups get in. It's like it doesn't, there's no age or anything, and there's not a limit of how many people. So the more
Uh-uh.
people, the louder it gets and
I'm
the
kind
more
of seeing that. I'm kind of
crazy.
seeing like maybe we can organize like a virtual Loteria Zoom and invite people as a
Yes.
way to celebrate and see,
Let that
what
hair down, girl.
I'm like, wait a minute, because it was falling. But I think that that could be really fun. Am I kind of seeing a global Loteria Zoom or something?
Yes, the Millennial Loteria, we need to organize this and show everyone this amazing Loteria game that he has specially designed to fit the millennials. So like he'll have a traditional card that he takes and he tries to match it to what a millennial would relate to, like the
Mm,
iPhone or Instagram, selfies, like nail art, Uber instead of a car. It's like the Uber. Yes, nail art. Let's show our nail art. I love yours.
I
Super
love yours
cute.
too.
They're tape measures.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like measure it up. I love it.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, those are kind of the things that I love to do. I love to stay connected to my my people who I can support here locally in business.
Yeah,
I go to the flea markets, I buy from vendor, like people who I know that this is their job.
matters.
They love
Yeah.
it, they enjoy it, and I see them year after year, and I continue to give my business, and it's just that that connection to be able to be with people and build relationships with them. But yeah, just all around, like being in San Diego, that's just one of my favorite things. And I feel so connected with my heritage, my family, everything here.
Yeah.
I as much as I would love to leave San Diego, no, not, I don't want to leave San Diego. I love it here, but like as much as I want to explore, this is my home.
Yeah,
Like,
like home. I'll
yeah,
have
I
to
love it.
come visit. I actually have a
Please.
friend. I have a friend down in the area, and it's only a couple hours drive from Los Angeles. And I must tell you, one of the things, and before we wrap, one of the
Yes.
things that was so illuminating for me when I moved here to LA. I'm a big hiker, and I love being outdoors. Um, but as I said, like when you live on one parentheses, like when you live in New York, we don't experience Mexican culture as much. It's more Dominican, it's more
Yes.
Puerto Rican, and Brazilian, because of how we've moved. And one of the things that was so illuminating and so beautiful to me, when I moved here to LA, and it's something that people don't talk about very very much, is how Mexican culture and just Latina culture and Latinx culture is so family oriented. And so when I go hiking, like it's their
A
families, and
family.
it just brings me so much joy because I'm out there literally by myself, and I'm like, good morning. And but you
Mm-hmm.
see the children and the mothers, and it's just, and the cousins and the aunts and the brothers and the husbands, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And that's one of the things that I love Latina and Hispanic culture for me as a Black woman, because I think for Black families historically there's been separatism, because of some, but I love seeing the connection and the root to family. So even when you talk about, like, as much as I would love to explore, this is home, this is where my tribe is.
Yeah, it is.
And I think with that, it's important for all of us to be intentional about
Yeah,
how we learn about cultures, because when we learn about cultures, number one, I think other cultures and other people, you have something to glean from that and something that you can do to improve your own experience. But even more than that, you realize that we're one,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, we're one. And always remember that, like, even if it's not blood, you can still make your family who's your family. And I know that we've definitely done that in our family. You don't have to be blood to be in our family. It's just having that tight group, that relationship with people who you can call family, and just, just be one and enjoy each other. Um, but before we go, I wanted to just highlight, because I know I seen in the comments a couple of people were asking me what I was wearing on my lip, and I'm wearing the Revlon Eyes on You,
Oh, that's
the lips.
pretty.
This is my favorite. I
I
just put
leave.
a little bit of the big
Yeah,
bad lash mascara in this, and a little bit of blush. No foundation, nothing. And well, I obviously have makeup on today, but some days this is all I do. It's my to go
that lip is so
to.
good. I'm kind of upset. Let me see the packaging again. I gotta get that. What was the name of that one again? Text me. I need that name. Sorry.
Yes, it's
I'm ups
it's number 6, and it's
Okay.
the satin ink.
Okay. I need that. So this, since
Revlon.
we're sharing, makeup, you see what I did. You have the same
I
one.
have this on my eyes right now.
Me too. So I did this one
Uh-huh.
and that
Yes.
one,
Yes.
and then I lined. What I love about this, and this is me being the former beauty editor. What I loved about this one is that I didn't have to wet it. I didn't have to wet the shadow
The
to make the
glitter.
liner, because it already has like the density
Mm-hmm.
where I lined it. And then this is the cream, and then I used a little bit of the cream underneath, but I just messed it up. Ignore me. Anyway, so
No, I absolutely love this. I'm all about palettes that I can travel with, and I'm about to travel for the next 3 weeks. And this I can take from day to night. It's
yep.
perfect for fall. I'm not trying to be a spokesperson, but like literally, when
Like
I
you're
was
like, that's
using
good.
this, I'm like, this is staying
You're
in
like,
my
this is the
makeup
clutch.
bag. Yes, it's staying in my makeup bag. I only carry one eyeshadow palette at a time, because those are dangerous to travel
it's
with.
it's dangerous, and also then you're like in there and you're trying to get dressed and you're like, where is it, which one isn't? Where are you going?
Exactly.
Where are you
Oh,
going?
I'm going to upstate New York because I am working on the costume designs for a movie. So I'm going to be filming in the next couple of weeks for a big project, and I'm super excited.
Ashley, I love to hear it all. I'm so proud of you. I'm so
Thank
happy for you.
you.
Continue to be the inspiration and the driver and the dynamic
Oh, thank
young
you.
woman, who is, I mean, you literally are shifting culture while you're owning and standing and being who you are. You're helping to shift culture, because your position and your place in this space of fashion, and I say this as someone who has been in
Thank
the
you.
industry for 22 years, is critical. It's
Yes.
critical as a Latina. It's critical as a plus size woman. It's critical as someone who is intentional about breaking down these barriers and creating new narratives. So
Yes.
I'm just telling you
Oh,
from
thank
from
you.
my heart, like this is dope stuff. And I'm praying for you, and I'm sending you just so much love. Your
Thank you.
example is shining a light on, I'm getting emotional. It's shining on a light on a young girl who doesn't know her place yet. And so, just by being there, you help people see their place. Um, so thank you.
Thank you, Ty, so much for this opportunity for us to rekindle
I can't
where
even
we
believe
left.
it. I was like, this has been so many years. I was like,
It's
Ashley, I
yes.
know her.
Yes, it's been like I think 6 years
Years?
now since the last time we met and we had our interview moment. And it's so crazy because you seen me right after Project Runway, and now
Yeah.
you get to see me
And I'd
after
love to see it.
years.
It makes me so happy. You
Me
have to know
too.
that this, and I'm looking, and someone just actually wrote, uh, AAS, Asha Biharni said she's that young girl. And the thing is that the thing that we have to realize about this,
Yeah.
it's the young girl. She might not necessarily be Latina. She might not be Hispanic. She might be Black. She might be Asian. She might be
Yeah.
Indian. She might be white. But that person that feels like other and like they don't belong, they know that they can show up with their own contours, with your own stuff, and
Yes.
be, and then, have a place and have a role. I'm
Be
so,
be that person who needs to be that person who's there to fill in the gaps. I
yeah.
have always said that to myself when I was 17. I was like, we're gonna be the person who fills in these gaps because there's tons of them, and we just need to show us, show these people who've always felt different, who've never felt accepted. This is our time. This is our time to shine and to let everyone know that there's nothing wrong with us.
You better do it. You
Yes.
better do it and continue to do it. I'm celebrating you,
Thank
not just
you.
today, but
Hi.
always. I'm so grateful to have been able to catch up with you again. Thank you for joining us for Contours and Conversations, and love and blessings to you, sis.
You too. Love you too. And it
Love
was
you,
so
babe.
amazing to see you. And I hope we can see each other off
I'm gonna be
screen.
intentional. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna be super
Okay.
intentional. Thank you,
Please do.
Ashley.
Thank you,
Everyone,
Revlon, too, for letting us have this talk. Thank you. And everyone have a great Hispanic Heritage Month.
love and blessings. Thank you,
Bye.
Ashley. Bye bye. Wow, everyone. That was so good. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. This was incredible. My heart is literally full because when I met Ashley, it was right after Project Runway. And I had the opportunity to work with her and interview her. And I was so drawn to her then. But now to see these years later and how she's growing and evolving, but also the intentionality. So I just, on behalf of Contours and Conversations and Revlon, I'm Taibeau Champ, your host of Conversations and Contours and Conversations, and just deeply honored. So thank you, Revlon, for this opportunity to go behind the mask, right, and the veil. Like, we love all of this, but what's happening on the inside, and how do we bring that forward, and how do we shine a light on who we are as people, and recognize, obviously, the connectivity that we have and the opportunity that we have to learn and to grow and to build together. So everyone stay tuned. We will be back, I believe, next month. This is September. Yes, in October. You can follow me at Taibeau, Taibeau. You can follow Ashley Nell Tipton at Ashley Nell Tipton. Jackie, thank you so much for being here. And to all of you, this will stay on Revlon's IG, so you can share it. Share it with your Latina and Hispanic and other friends, just to kind of open their minds. And Ashley, thank you for sharing all of the incredible businesses and learn more about Latina and Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month, just by doing some research, all right? And learn. Thanks so much. I'm Taibeau Champ. Take care.